Martin Fehérváry and Charlie Lindgren leave the game with an upper body injury.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holman. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. I would love to talk Capitals hockey with you one-on-one, and we can do that on subtext. Just check the show description for more details. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for more details. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, I come to you on a Friday, and I wish I had better news, but the Capitals fall again by a score of 5-1. What is going on? We'll talk about that in the show, and being that it is Friday, I will get to your comments. A little bit later, we will talk about how Martin Fehérváry and Charlie Lindgren were injured, who slots in their absence. But just to get it going here, I wish I had better news to come with you guys with on a Friday evening than the Capitals lost yet another game by a score of 5-1. And that one was pretty lucky. That was Nicolas Aube-Kubel late in the game, kind of knocking it in, and the goalie not being prepared. But it was Ugleysville out on the island as the Capitals struggled and now have lost 3 in a row. And it's frustrating for me as someone that covers this team. As you know, I'll talk about them winning 3 games, but it just seems like, right after that, they're going to drop 2 to 3 games. And that is the case again this evening as the Capitals continue to struggle. And they continue to struggle with 5-on-5 hockey. And the difficult part, however, is that there's no real easy fix to what is ailing the Capitals. But it was a rough game, and to make things worse, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, is that Charlie Lindgren left the game early in the game after taking a puck kind of just right under his chin guard, but lower chin and neck area there, and did not make his return. That was difficult to watch. And also Martin Fehérváry, who got tripped and kind of just slammed right into the boards, and there was no penalties to come from that. I guess that they can't be everywhere and see everything, but it was a difficult game to watch, suffices to say. But just taking a look here back on what the Capitals have done here recently, we'll go back to the 23rd. They lost 2-1 in the shootout. They lost 5-1 Wednesday evening against the Rangers, and then again tonight, 5-1 against the Islanders. So it has been rough sledding for the Capitals. If we want to rewind the tape a little bit more, the 20th, they took down the Islanders in overtime 3-2, and the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 2-1 on the 17th of this month. But the difficult thing, and I've heard more and more spoke of about this, is the Capitals have got lucky in a lot of those games, and their inability to score 5-on-5 is coming into focus. We take a look at that victory on the 20th. That was 3-2 in overtime. That could have gone either way. You take a look at the game on the 17th, the shootout, they won 2-1. Those are eking out victories. And then, to just show you how narrow the margin is, you take a look at the 23rd, they lost 2-1 in the shootout. But when they've lost here lately, they've lost in a large way, 5-1. The 27th against the Rangers, and also this evening, Friday night, 5-1. Rough to watch. I know you could say that Charlie Lindgren came out and the Blue Liners had to log a lot of minutes. Yeah, kind of. But what was their excuse Wednesday evening against the Rangers? I don't want to keep cutting people a lot of excuses. I'm going to go ahead and say that Darcy Kemper looks like he was caught by surprise, that he was going to be coming into the game. He kind of had that laid back look on the bench. This is going to be one of these fun games that I'm just going to be able to sit back and observe. And it wasn't the case as he was called into action. And, I think I need to be critical when I need to be critical. Darcy Kemper was not dialed in. It was a rough game for Darcy Kemper. The Capitals were hoping to rebound after a bad loss to the Rangers, but they didn't. The first period against the Islander was similar to the first period against the Rangers. After that, it was all downhill. That's the thing for the Capitals as of late. Once that wheel starts to wobble, it just wobbles so much that it falls off. They kind of just recede into the shell. We're missing the Capitals team earlier in the season that had that tenacity, that pushback, that even though we're back, we're going to fight and get back into this game. There was no fight to the Capitals, and we're really starting to see, again, coming into focus. I know I talk about this a lot, but it's true. We need more from Alex Ovechkin. I know we need more from everyone, but Alex Ovechkin in particular, we need more from him. Like I said, to make it worse, Lindgren and Fehérváry left the game. Lindgren appeared to take the puck under his chin. He tried to walk it off, but gave way to Darcy Kemper. I got to give it to Charlie Lindgren. He did what he could do. It looks like he tried to walk it off, like maybe I can tough this out. Maybe I'm going to be able to make it. As it turns out, it was not the case, and he gave way to Darcy Kemper. It wasn't his fault. He got injured, and, that is part of the perils of playing in professional sports and mostly a goalie where you get hit with a lot of pucks. The Fehérváry trip by Anders Lee was dirty and should have been a penalty. There was nothing Marty could do from going hard into the boards. It was a difficult thing. Sometimes you can kind of brace yourself. It was just kind of right into the boards, and it was difficult. So what had to happen after that is that the Capitals blue liners had to log heavy minutes in Fehérváry's absence. And who had to log heavy minutes? Well, in particular, John Carlson led all skaters on the ice with 28:06 of ice time. John Carlson doing what he does best. There's someone missing. I'll take his minutes. I'll eat him up. I'll chew him up and spit him out. That's what he does. That is what we love about John Carlson. Like I talked about, it looked like it was funny that Darcy didn't want to even come into the game, and maybe there's some truth to that as he struggled the entire time he was out there. The Capitals were ultimately still blocking shots and trying to do what they could to stop the bleeding, but giveaways gave way to more Islander goals. So they tried at certain aspects, but where they struggle the most is what they should be good at. Scoring goals, 5-on-5 in particular. I'm beginning to sound like a broken record, talking about this every night, but that is what is going on with the Capitals. Spencer Carberry's talked about it. He tried to shake up the lineups. Connor McMichael on the top line center position. Dylan Strome knocks down to play lower in the lineup in the second center position. So it was difficult for the Capitals to try to get anything going out there. And, I'm going to go ahead and give, Spencer Carberry an A for effort as he tried to do what he could do by shaking things up. When that didn't work, he tried to shake things up yet again, but still to no avail. This team was flooded. They kept trying to turn that engine over, turn it over. Next thing you know, it's flooded, and they couldn't do it. The Capitals struggled. Despite the loss by a large margin, the Capitals mustered 27 shots, but wasn't nearly enough. The question now for you Capitals fans is what's next? I've seen enough. I ride the highs, I ride the lows. It's a lot like being on a roller coaster, and a lot like being on a roller coaster, sometimes it makes you have a sick stomach. This team, to a certain extent, starts to make you have a sick stomach. You think that 1 minute that they're buying into Spencer Carberry systems and all is good in the world. And then you have games like the last 3 games where it's like they forgot what they're doing altogether. So it is a struggle. The thing that I'm going to talk about later here is that there is fresh blood going to be integrated into this lineup in the form of Max Pacioretty, Ethan Bear, potentially Hunter Shepard as well. It all depends on the nature of the injury to Lindgren and Fehérváry, how much time they're going to miss. But also, you could expect to see Trevor Van Riemsdyk get reinserted back into the lineup. There is a lot of questions for Spencer Carberry to have to answer between now and Saturday evening. All right, so coming up here after the break, we'll talk about, so we know that Charlie Lindgren and Martin Fehérváry left the game. Who slots in? I'll talk about that coming up. The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action. America's #1 sports book right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the next Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays and more. And guys, let me tell you something. If you are watching a game, maybe you're not that into it, put a little bit of money on it. Open up the FanDuel app. If you're watching the Commanders try to eke out a victory, or the Ravens try to pick up another win, it makes watching the games that much more exciting. So visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet a layup. That's visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So injuries are a part of professional sports and professional hockey, and that was evident tonight, Friday evening, on the island, as the Capitals lost two players, two huge pieces. Charlie Lindgren, which you could argue is the #1 goalie for the Capitals, left the game early as he took a puck kind of right under the chin, between the chin and the lower, the neck area there. In any event, he had to leave the game, and it was not good to go. Tried to walk it off, couldn't do it. Darcy Kemper came in the game. Martin Fehérváry was racing down after a puck, and Anders Lee tripped him and went right into the boards, and he looked very uncomfortable and did not make a return. So Charlie Lindgren, Martin Fehérváry, two players that potentially might not play Saturday evening against the Predators. So the question now is, who slots in their absence? And, you got to be prepared for all of this. The easy answer, of course, for me, at least, let's start with the netminders, would be Hunter Shepard. Knocks it out of the park. I have 100% confidence in Hunter Shepard. If called upon, that he will do an excellent job. I want to see him in the game, honestly. If Charlie Lindgren's not good to go, and it's a difference between Darcy Kemper and Hunter Shepard, I want to see Shepdog out there all day long. Just because, Darcy Kemper has played a lot, and let's face it, he struggled tonight. Why? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. I don't want to be insane, so I would like to see Hunter Shepard in the game if, in fact, Charlie Lindgren isn't good to go. And to be honest with you, even if he is good to go, he could probably use the night off if he is nicked up, that he could rest up a little bit. And I would like to see what Hunter Shepard has in the tank. Ultimately, at some point, I wouldn't mind seeing Clay Stevenson either, but Hunter Shepard does seem to be the clear #3 in the Capitals organization. Let's make it happen. I want to see more of him, as Darcy has struggled. Lindgren could be injured, and even, like I said, even if he's not, let's let him rest up. So let's move down to Martin Fehérváry, a guy that is near the top of the team and plays a physical game, a defenseman, plays a huge role on this team. Make no mistake about it. And he got injured. Who slots in for him? So the easy thing to say, of course, is Ethan Bear. Potentially, maybe. I don't know what the reluctance was and why he didn't want to play tonight, or Spencer Carberry, that is, didn't want him to play tonight. Maybe he isn't 100%. Maybe there's some kind of analytics that shows otherwise. I guess I'm not sure right now. But also Trevor Van Riemsdyk as well. There's the potential that he could slot back in. So there are some questions. For me, I would like to see what Ethan Bear has. I want a change. I want to change. And why do I want to change? I hate to bring this up, but let's take a peek over at the standings. The Capitals now sit in 5th place in the Metro Division with 39 points. The Islanders, 43 points. It is tough sledding for this Capitals team, and there doesn't seem to be, a real easy turnaround here. I know that they're playing again right away Saturday evening against the Predators. It's not going to be an easy out, make no mistake about it. I guess as I record this at 10:10 local, things are moving around a little bit here as the Capitals are in 6th place, excuse me. It's funny how you go to one NHL standings page and then the other, and they change within minutes. In any event, on the official NHL page, the Capitals are in 6th place. And the Pittsburgh Penguins and Columbus Blue Jackets are underneath of them. So interesting thing for the Capitals. Again, this page is going back here again. So in any event, the Capitals are struggling and they need to figure out a way to win now. Regardless of where they are in the standings, they're not doing great. That is what we know for sure. They'll win a couple, then they'll lose 3. There's not any of this confidence that surrounds this team. And that is what has me concerned. And ultimately, that inability to score 5-on-5 is coming into focus. So these injured players, another one, Max Pacioretty, and there's a good comment from a viewer on YouTube that has about Max Pacioretty. But regardless of what people think of Max Pacioretty, it can hurt at this point. It cannot hurt. Is there more that they could do? Of course. If they could pick up a top scoring forward, then sign me up. I'd be willing to do it. I'd be willing to part with a goalie and a defenseman if it was a top tier scoring forward. Honestly, there is a glut of talent on the Capitals in the net minding department. Same thing goes with the defense. Let's make it happen. Otherwise, we're just kind of swirling around the drain until the end of the season. That's not fun for a person that watches every Capitals game to endure. I want to see a team that is at least going to be in it, that's going to try to win it. And that hey, listen, this is where I'm at right now. Max Pacioretty can't hurt. I know that he is not as young as he used to be. I know that he's riddled with former injuries and we don't know exactly where he's at, but he has the potential of scoring goals. 6 different times in his career, he has scored 30 goals. There's a lot of players out there that have never done that, regardless of young or old. And we know that Alex Ovechkin is still in that slump. I know he had that overtime goal, but what have you done for me lately? Not a lot. And, I keep hearing people say it's going to happen. Enough with it. It's going to happen already. It would have happened if it's going to happen already. And that's what's frustrating for me. Even if he had just a total about face, and the interesting thing to go on a sidebar here is that, Alex Ovechkin can go a long period of time without scoring a goal, a long period of time. So was it 14 games, something like that? And he didn't score a goal. And then in one particular game, he got an impactful goal, an overtime goal. And everyone's like, see, Dan, I told you he's back. I'm like, whoa. He scored a goal, one singular goal to end a drought. But guess what? He's back in the desert again. It's the drought again. We need an about face from Alex Ovechkin. We need Oshie back. We need players that are going to score on this team. Make no mistake about it. Now, it's not really open for debate. I don't care if it's Max Pacioretty, Ethan Bear. There is a plethora of talent down in Hershey. Ethan Bear, Scarboza. Let's give these guys a look. It cannot hurt at this point. We know that the guys on this team right now aren't scoring. Dylan Strome, been a minute. Tom Wilson, those guys respectively round out the top of the team in goals. But what have you done for me lately? Anthony Mantha is this team saving grace. And despite how he's playing right now, if Anthony Mantha is your saving grace, things aren't looking too great. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So we need more from the Capitals. I don't care where they get it from. And I don't want people poo-pooing Max Pacioretty yet. I know that he's not going to be the second coming of God out there, but he is probably going to give the Capitals at least a fighting chance of doing something out there. And that's what I'm hoping for. I hope he's in the lineup Saturday night, because if it's the team as is tomorrow night, I'm not feeling too hopeful. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm getting a little worked up on it. It's a Friday night. It's okay to get a little bit worked up. I want this team to do well. I think that you want the team to do well, as you guys are Capitals fans. You go out and you buy the swag. That's what it's all about. It's about butts and seats and winning games. We want the Capitals to win. That's my recipe for success. I want Hunter Shepard in the game. I want to see Ethan Bear. I want to see Max Pacioretty. Push my chips in. I at least want to have a look. We tried putting the McMichael on the top. We tried putting Dylan Strome down. Nothing burgers galore. I'm sick of the nothing burger. It's giving me a stomach ache. I want to see more. Saturday evening, let's make it happen. Max Pacioretty, Ethan Bear, Hunter Shepard. Let's go all in. Let's take that snow globe and shake it all up. And let's hope the Capitals can get back into the win column. All right, so coming up here after the break, it is a Friday evening, and I'm going to get to some of your comments. What do you guys think about the Capitals? I'll talk about that coming up. It's almost the halfway point in the season. The Capitals make a statement about winning games. That's what they have to do. The Capitals need to win more games. Make no mistake about it. Regardless of where we are in the current standings, I want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your daily fantasy hockey contest, 100 times your cash. There's nothing to lose, and Sleeper makes playing fantasy hockey so much fun. So to win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Capitals fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So it is Friday, and let's get to some of your comments. You heard about me spill my guts about what I thought about the Capitals dropping a big game to the Islanders, dropping a big game to the Rangers, big games. And then before that, the Lightning. Frustration is starting to boil over a little bit. Can you feel it? Are you guys feeling a little frustrated? I'm feeling a little frustrated about the Capitals. So let's get to some of your comments. Corey Bergen 86 said, there's no reason why any player should have more goals than Ovi at 20-something games. I'm starting to worry. Here, Corey Bergen 86. I am starting to worry too. There's the people that are in the camp of Alex Ovechkin saying it's going to happen, Dan. And again, to reiterate, just because he scored a goal in a big moment doesn't mean he's out of the drought. He's still in the desert and he needs a drink of water, and that can only be quenched by scoring goals. Let's get her done. Javier Ronaldo commented, if anyone thinks Pacioretty will be a magic fix, then they're living in La La Land. Sure, he can't make it worse, but he's not going to magically score 30 goals. As well, again, like I talked about in the previous segment, I'm not saying that he is going to reinvent the wheel, but he is at least going to give the Capitals a fighting chance of jump-starting the deficient, anemic 5-on-5 hockey that we've seen thus far. It can't hurt. I want to see it. It really can't hurt. Another comment here is the trade deadline is March 8th. Unless they get a ridiculous deal for Mantha, I just watch him until like early or mid-February. If he's still playing well, I'd start thinking of signing him. Again, it's an interesting take that last summer everyone was talking about, myself included, that we need a trade partner for Anthony Mantha. Let's get this guy out of here. He's no good. And well, surprise, surprise. Guess who showed up? Anthony Mantha, that we wanted when we signed him in the first place, scoring goals, blocking shots, being one of the best players on the team. This isn't bizarro world. This is the real world, and Anthony Mantha is killing it, and he's playing so well that ultimately I am happy for what he's doing this year. But with that said, I don't know if the Capitals plan on signing him to a new deal. Again, this is to kind of tie this all together. It's interesting that Alex Ovechkin can go a long period of time, and everyone's like, oh, just let's leave him alone. Let's leave him alone. He scores a singular goal, and everyone's like, I told you, he's back with one goal. Let's kind of draw that into focus with Anthony Mantha. It's good that he's playing well right now, but have we forgot how poor he played before that? It's funny how winning fixes your history. Just because Anthony Mantha is playing well right now, we've totally forgotten how he played last year. It's somehow like we think that he found his way and he's going to continue to find his way in perpetuity. Maybe he's going to have a great rest of the season, but can he replicate that next season? That's a bit of a gamble, if you ask me. Could you imagine a scenario where Anthony Mantha is playing well this year, they sign him to a new deal, and he comes back next year and is lacking in the luster department? That is my concern. Again, I don't want to give him away, but this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted Anthony's hockey card to be redeemed, to be a little bit shinier, to look a little bit so that we could potentially trade him. Mission accomplished. Let's see what offers there are out there. I don't know if we want to do it right now, as he is the only guy scoring goals for the most part, but I think it's all a part of the master plan of flipping him, trying to improve this team. Lord knows this team is struggling. So a difficult position for Anthony Mantha as to know exactly what to do with him. Listen, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals. And I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are what makes this podcast a hit, and I have you guys to thank. When you're done over here listening to this or watching this on YouTube, head on over to Locked On Nationals 24/7 streaming channel. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel. Do it today. All right. Once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.